had to pull out at pretty short notice in the end with a hamstring problem which plagued him for much of last season. So we have no Stephen Gardner, and Akeem Bloomfield, also from Jamaica, out with a leg injury. So reduced field, and here is Michael Cherry, who goes in now lane 8 on the outside. One of 3 Americans in the race, ended up with silver in the World Indoors, remember, in Birmingham last year. Isaac Makwala, 33 years old, he of the infamous press-ups from London 2017, Commonwealth Games champion. Braylon Taplin, the Grenadian, teammate of Karani James, who was twice a winner here in his time in Shanghai. Fred Curley goes in lane 5, the reigning Diamond League champion from last year, fabulously consistent, won in Rome and Birmingham and then in Zurich in the final. Only 4th here last year. Nathan Allen from Jamaica goes in 4, part of the Olympic silver medal 4x4 winning team back in 2016. Another Nathan Strover from the USA, 2nd in the Diamond League final last year behind Fred Curley in Zurich. He goes in 3, and on the inside into Wu Yuan, 3rd in the recent Asian Championships. So a revised field. Cherry on the outside for USA in 8. Makwala, look out for him in 7. Taplin Grenada 6. Curley then USA in 5. Allen Jamaica in 4. Strover USA goes in 3. Wu from China on the inside in lane 2. The key men to look out for: Makwala in 7. Curley in 5. Meeting record 43.99 set by Stephen Gardner last year. Well, a real opportunity here for the likes of Fred Curley and Isaac Makwala to make a mark in the absence of the talented, the supremely talented Stephen Gardner. And, well, bang on cue, Fred Curley has gone off really nicely in the first 100 metres or so, down the back straight, already up on the shoulder of Taplin, and starting to take control of this race really nicely. Makwala, no response so far, and Fred Curley, who was in terrific form, and Makwala's gone. Makwala has gone, not for the first time, and Curley now surely into the home straight with this race sewn up. Fred Curley now all about what the time is. Curley with an eye, a nice early season run out, in the end a comfortable win, 44.83. Well, Curley, I'm not sure what he'll make of that victory, because Stephen Gardner was lost before the start, as was Akeem Bloomfield, and well, Makwala as well went, but Curley coming through, a nice early season's best for him, 44.81, and it's USA 1, 2 and 3 with Cherry in 2nd and Strover down in.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, good to be back in such a glorious facility. What a shame, though, that the conditions aren't a little bit more like the season for this sport. Anyway, 5 Americans going in this men's 800 metres. Janazic there, Luka Janazic, 4th in the European Indoors in Glasgow back in March, the 23-year-old Slovenian. 46.2, that's all this year, but he's a 44.8 man at his best. Not a great lane draw, though, lane 8, and they will be running into a headwind up the back straight. There's Nathan Strother, 3rd in Shanghai and a season's best of 45.5 a couple of weeks ago, but only 3 sub-45 performances ever outdoors from the American. Rai Benjamin, world number 2, best known as a 400-metre hurdler, of course. He's 3rd equal quickest at 400-metre hurdles, already 44.3 this year. This is the man to watch, though. Mike Norman, one of the most stunning talents in world athletics of the current era. World number 1, he's had a personal best in his only 400 so far, back on the 20th of April. That was in Torrance, California. He is superbly fast, the former world junior champion at 200 metres. Watch him in 5. There's Mike Cherry, another American, world indoor championship silver medalist last year. He was 2nd in Shanghai recently, best of 45.3. In that race where Mike Norman ran 43.4. Thebe of Botswana, World Championship 4th placer and Commonwealth silver medalist last year, still only 22. Good lane draw too for the Botswanan, lane 3. Braylon Taplin goes in lane 2, Rio Olympic finalist. He was 7th in Brazil and 4th at the World Indoors earlier on that year. His 6 best times, that all came in 2016. a relatively poor run in Shanghai. And then Vern Norwood, yeah, it's cold. You can guess that just from the pictures, can't you? Trying to keep himself warm. The American in lane 1. He won Osaka on the 19th of May. His season's best 45.2. But, you know, these conditions, well, I was really hoping we'd see something spectacular from Mike Norman there in lane 5. Rai Benjamin, outside him, goes in lane 6. Both of them wearing headbands, they're identically dressed. Thankfully, it is a lane event. That world best by Mike Norman, remember, in Torrance over a month ago, some 5 weeks ago, 43.45. He beat Rai Benjamin in that race by nearly a second. And Benjamin ran 44.3. That's how quick it was. So the men's 400 metres then. 5 Americans go in this one. Norwood in 1, Taplin 2, Thaby 3, Cherry in 4, then Norman in 5, Benjamin in 6. What's them? Struthers 7, Janazic 8. Well, Benjamin looks to have gone up pretty quickly. They're third from left, gradually reeling in Struther, his compatriot. And Mike Norman, nice and steady down the back straight there. Fourth from left, 2 men in headbands leading at the moment. Nobody else really featuring. Quite aggressive running too from Braylon Taplin in lane 2, but at the moment, Rai Benjamin keeping his compatriot at bay. Of course, Norman in 5. The left-hand headband, right-hand one, as you see them now, has got the advantage, and now he begins to change gear, and Strew moves into the straight, and he is past his compatriot and great friend. The gap is not growing that quickly, though. It was many metres when they raced a month ago. This is a little bit tighter, but it's still a comfortable win there for Norman. 44.54 and a cool, breezy evening. The flags over at the far end of the stadium on the second bend are standing out stiffly horizontally. It really is very, very gusty. Hard to tell from here where they're running into the wind, but I suspect there's this pretty strong headwind up the back straight. But Steve, that was a very controlled run by Mike Norman, the world number 1. He always had it in hand, and he really only started working there over the last 80 or 90 metres to get that, 4-metre winning margin?
Yes, control, I think the right word, like you said. When you know you've got a stiff breeze down the back straight and around in the first part of the bend, then you've really got to judge your race well. I thought he did superbly. Just kept Benjamin close, didn't let him get away too much, but you could see then when they came into the home straight, he was the one who was able to maintain much better, and that's a pretty impressive time in these conditions. 44.53, what a year he's going to have. Just one note that you said on that time that he ran in April, the fastest ever in April. Previous best was by Michael Johnson, and he didn't run any quicker.
A lot of eyes will be focused on Mike Norman in lane 4, the world number 1, but we'll start from the outside. Jonathan Jones goes in 9. There's Braylon Taplin, Rio Olympic finalist. He was 7th in Rio. Not fast in Shanghai or Stockholm, but close to his personal best for 200 10 days ago. Kamari Montgomery of the USA. Already run 7 400s this year. His first race this season was back on the 6th of April. World Junior Relay gold medalist back in 2016. He's the world number 2 this year, Montgomery, with 44.23. There's Mike Cherry, World Indoor Championship silver medalist last year. In solid form, he's improving. A season's best at Hengelo 3 weeks ago, 45.1. Fred Curley, well, he's a big performer when he gets things right. He's a 43.7 performer. He won Shanghai from some 5 or 6 weeks back in 44.81. But here is the favourite, Mike Norman, still only 21. He holds the world indoor record for 400 metres at 44.52. World Junior Champion in 2016. He's got great speed as Norman, and unbeaten this year. The meeting record, by the way, belongs to Michael Johnson, 43.92. Watch those figures carefully. For Baylor, Wilbert London goes in lane 3. Getting back to his form of 2 years ago, perhaps. He's run 44.6 already this year. His lifetime best, 44.4. Michel Cedeno of Trinidad and Tobago. Remember Trinidad and Tobago beating USA in the 4x400 metres relay in London 2017. Well, he ran the third leg, Cedeno. Inside Babaloki Thebe, the African champion 3 years ago. A little inconsistent so far this year. But this is a field not only of very high quality, but of real youth. 4 men in this field aged just 20 or 21. Mike Norman in 4, the favourite. There he is, just 21 years old. NCAA champion last year. His last race was a win in Rome over 200 metres, where he beat none other than Noah Lyles, 19.70 to 19.72. So he has such speed, Mike Norman. This could be special. Thebe in 1, Cedeno 2, London 3, Norman goes in 4, Curley in 5, Cherry 6, Montgomery 7, Taplin 8, Jones on the outside, Jonathan Jones in lane 9.
From the inside, Thebe, Cedeno,
gets away
London,
quickly.
Norman, Curley, Cherry,
Already making up a bit of ground on Fred Curley, their centre of picture. Norman with the headband in shot now, steaming down the back straight, and the Stars and Stripes hanging limply in the background as they come into the second bend. Now Norman finishes very strongly, already the world record holder indoors. Stagger unwinds in his favour here. Fred Curley running really strongly in 5 though to keep him at bay, but they come into the straight now. Is this where Norman's going to go away? He's still got a race on his hands. Curley in the black is looking strong. Now Mike Norman pumping hard, rocking from side to side. The gap there is big. Mike Cherry coming through. Montgomery in fact, it is Mike Norman there, 44.62. Well, I expected it to be quicker, significantly quicker than that. But Mike Norman was working really hard there down the home straight. I think he cruised the first 200 seat. He didn't really attack the first half of the race and then started working around the bend. But you have to go back and you have to know an awful lot to be able to gauge these efforts correctly. Because I suspect he's training hard. He's got one eye on the World Championship, still some 12 weeks or so away. And that for Mike Norman was a very competent run, Steve. Just not as quick as perhaps we expected.
No, not quite as smooth. You mentioned him, a little rock and roll in there because he came into the home straight, didn't power away. Montgomery finishes pretty strongly. You know, it is breezy. When we had a little bit of a walk around that first bend that they head round, and maybe, you know, he just didn't quite get into the race in which he would have liked, and then he's having to work hard to try and put the second half together, and not quite able to do that today. He is, you know, he's a phenomenal athlete, and I think we are going to see him consistently running in the sort of low 43s, well, maybe not all the time, but that's what he's capable of, and it's amazing how he can make a 44.6 look a little bit workmanlike. But good win for him. And that, you know, sometimes you just have to accept that, Tim. You win, you walk off, the better day.
It's 400 metres on the track next. This is Zambrano of Colombia. Big step forward for him this year. And you'll hear Tim and I mention whenever athletes have personal bests in Le Chaux de Fonds in France, then we always hope that they can reproduce that because so many people actually do it at altitude there. Jonathan Jones recently broke his national record, 34 years that has stood, as indeed did David Ray in the aforementioned Le Chaux de Fonds. Jones outside him just 20, Zambrano 21, David Ray's been around, David has been around a bit longer. 26-year-old. Well, Stephen Gardner, you know, if he can stay fit and healthy, he's one of the most exciting prospects at 200 and 400. So many people enjoyed watching him run. Remember pulling up in Stockholm last year, but what a year he had last year. Kamari Montgomery, again, another youngster, won the NCAAs with a personal best. Good performance in Prix, come over to Europe. Now, this is the first time we've seen Abderrahman Samba since the beginning of the season. We had hoped he would be in Oslo on the 400 hurdles against Warholm, had to pull out with a hip problem. It's apparently all good now, but so on the flat. And inside him we've got Nathan Strother of the USA, lead-off man now for their 4x4 team when required. Luka Janicic inside from Slovenia. With him out. Well, he quite clearly false started. So they go to their marks again without Jonathan Jones and Zambrano. Should have been in lanes 7 and 8. David Ray, who's in lane 6, ran a good solid 150 meters at very least. So we've got Janicic on the inside, Strother of USA, Samba of Qatar, Montgomery the false starter in 4, Stephen Gardner in 5, David Ray in 6. Take 2. And maybe the starting isn't helping either. So they get away safely this time. And those who've got the fresher legs, Gardner certainly you would expect. Samba started very, very quickly. Gardner perhaps not so fast, and it's Samba in lane 3 moving up on Montgomery with Gardner now elegantly starting to move away down the back straight. A beautiful running action. There he is, Gardner, and he's already now pulling away, but Samba is doing his best to try and stay with him. But Gardner just starting to tighten up a little bit here. Could come under some real pressure from Samba. But Gardner staying tall and staying strong, and those long legs of his start to stretch away. And it's going to be Gardner who'll take the win here from Samba. Strother will get third, 44.51. Not quite the season's best for him, but with everything that was going on, perhaps not unexpected. And in the end, a fairly standard 400-meter race after all the nonsense.
Utterly bizarre, Steve. Really strange that, but great time, 44.51. Wow, and 45 dead for Samba. I thought Samba took the first 200 too slowly, and he realized going into the second bend, he accelerated very, very noticeably around the second bend, and then sort of tied up. I think he reacted too quickly, and in actual fact, maybe he'd never have got back to Gardner anyway, but 45 seconds exactly for Samba. Well, he can go significantly quicker than that.
Yeah, he will have to go quicker. He's going to challenge the likes of Norman, etc. But for the time being, a solid 44.51 for Gardner.
There is Rabbi Youssef of Great Britain out in lane 9, 6th in the World Championships back in 2015. He's 32 years old now. Best of 44.5, although not inside 45 seconds this year. Jonathan Jones of Barbados goes in lane 8. Just 20 years old. 9 days ago in Monaco, he ran the entire race when there had been a full start and didn't realise he wasn't able to run the second run, of course. Demish Gay of Jamaica, 6th in the World Championships back in 2017. He's a 44.8 man this year. Very useful, and that's nice lane draw 7. Nathan Allen of Jamaica, 2nd in the Olympic 4x400 metres for Jamaica back in 2016. World number 5 last year, but nowhere near his personal best of 44.1 this season. Hakeem Bloomfield, another Jamaican, 5th in the Jamaican Championships over 200 metres, the 21-year-old. 45.6 this year, and he too much quicker on paper last year. He ran 43.9. And Tebe goes there in lane 3. Marcus Igbokwe going in lane 3. There has been a change here because Abderrahman Samba was meant to be starting, and he is a non-starter. Late change, and Marcus Chambers of the USA has been slotted in. So there are 2 Americans in this field, Obi Igbokwe and Marcus Chambers. And then Luka Janasic, 5th in the European Championships last year, the Slovenian. He's their national record holder. He goes in lane 1. So, into their blocks then, the meeting record, 43.98 by a certain Michael Johnson, way back in 1992, 27 years ago now, the fastest time in the world this year, 43.45. That is quick by Mike Norman, back in California in late April. Well, who's going to go off quickest? Looks to me like Rabbi Youssef, extreme left, has gone off pretty quickly, and so has the athlete in lane 3, Obi Igbokwe. Only ranked 15th in the USA, the 22-year-old, although he's run 45.35 this year. All in the white strip. He's blasted down the back straight, and also going strongly out in lane 7 is Demish Gay of Jamaica. The tall figure of Demish Gay in the white vest to left of picture. Coming around the bend, it's very tight between these 5, although as the stagger and winds in the favour of Igbokwe in the lane 3. He led into the straight. Here, though, comes in lane 5, Hakeem Bloomfield. And he's looking very strong indeed as he crosses the line there. Well, Bloomfield, 44.40. That is quick. He's a massive fella, isn't he? Big, broad, powerful chest. And he looked very, very strong down the home straight there. quicker than the rest of them off the final bend. He ran a really well-measured race from lane 5. He's a good 200-metre runner. He's run 19.81. That was in 2018. He's also a great carrier of the baton for Jamaica. And Bloomfield wins in 44.40. Jonathan Jones, well, after all that frustration of Monaco 9 days ago, he came here with a best of 44.64, and he won a personal best and a Barbadian national record. 44.63 in second place by Jonathan Jones. Boy, oh boy, out in lane 8 with the headband to the left of picture. Doesn't he finish strongly, Chris?
Brilliant, wasn't it? Could have really folded after that mix-up in Monaco. Not his fault, of course, but yeah, terrific to see him respond and come back. But you could throw a blanket, couldn't you, over these 5 coming into the final, 90 metres or so. But Bloomfield just having the strength of character and the endurance to come through, looking really nice and upright, holding his line, holding his form right to the end. And that's a decent time, 44.4 in a good quality field. Samba, as you mentioned, a late withdrawal, the 400-metre hurdler. But Bloomfield coming through and almost dragging his compatriot Allen with him, only for Jones to come through and take second place.
Well, Jones improved his own national record, though. Second place, 44.63 by 1/100th of a second. And Bloomfield, Jones and Allen. Jamaica, Barbados.
Here, well, the likes of Michael Cherry can seal his place in the Diamond League final. No one is actually mathematically guaranteed their place in the final in Zurich yet, but 1 or 2 could be today. Matthew Hudson-Smith making his first appearance in a race for nearly 12 months. Listen to the roar here. It's his home track. He's a Birchfield Harrier. No wonder he's smiling. They absolutely love him here. And he goes in lane 7 as the reigning European champion. Look out for Akeem Bloomfield from Jamaica in lane 6. Just 21 years old, 6'4", such an elegant runner. Was terrific in winning in London last time out. He goes in 6. Inside him, Nathan Allen, his compatriot, compared to a young Carl Lewis by many people. 4th in Shanghai, 3rd in London 4 weeks ago. Demish Gay, the 3rd Jamaica in this race, 6'3", goes in lane 4, newly crowned Jamaican champion from a few weeks ago, made the final in London in 2017. Vernon Norwood, one of 4 Americans in this race. The body work on his arms, former basketball player, he goes in 3. Kamari Montgomery goes in 2, the reigning national collegiate champion, 44.23. He's quick. He's 2nd in Stanford a few months ago, and completing the lineup on the inside. Also from the USA, Obi Ibokwe, the reigning relay champion at the North American and Central American Championships. So 1 lap of the track. The likes of Michael Norman, Nathan Strother, Fred Curley have probably done enough to qualify for the final. This, remember, in Birmingham, the penultimate meeting of the Diamond League Series in 2019. Cherry in 8, Hudson-Smith in 7, Bloomfield, Jamaica in 6, Allen, Jamaica 5, Gay, Jamaica 4, Norwood, USA 3, Montgomery, USA 2, Igbogwe, also USA, in lane 1. The meeting record held by Kirani James, 44.23, set here 3 years ago. Men's 400 metres.
Set.
Interesting to see how Matthew Hudson-Smith goes out, 2nd from left of picture there in the white vest, with his shoes on this track that's so familiar to him, but he'll expect a charge on the inside from Akeem Bloomfield, this tall young Jamaican. But Hudson-Smith's gone out hard here in the first 200, already up on the shoulder of Michael Cherry. Now then, can he produce a measured performance here, Matthew Hudson-Smith? No doubting his talent at all, but so often in the past he's got the pacing wrong. Has he got it right here today? But he's having a storming opening 300 metres, but Bloomfield coming back at him here. Bloomfield going well, also going well is Norwood. Bloomfield coming through that natural upright style, almost reminiscent of Stephen Gardner. Let's keep an eye on the clock, but Bloomfield's coming through here. 45.05, nothing particularly special in the end. A much more measured race there from Akeem Bloomfield.
Not quite as quick as he was in London a few weeks ago, but further evidence of the burgeoning reputation of this young man. He really is a talent. He's a joy to watch. 21 years old, rounded down, 45.04. Igbokwe from the inside coming through, 45.53. And Hudson Smith, who started so strongly, has come through to take third place, 45.55. He'll be pretty pleased with that.
Well, wasn't it a well-measured run by Hakeem Bloomfield? I thought Hudson Smith did everything right. He just didn't have the strength down the home straight to match the young Jamaican. He's only 21 years old, Bloomfield, but his power here, nearest the camera there in the yellow vest, third from left now, absolutely superb over the last 60 or 70. Look at that, works harder with the arms, upright, head back a little bit, not classic technique, but my word, he covered the ground well. Opens up that 3-metre gap on the rest of the field, and you could have thrown a blanket over the next 4 or 5 athletes there. It was really tight between second and fourth or fifth.
Well, excellent second place there from the inside lane, just out of picture now from Igbokwe, the American. He is so strong, particularly in the latter stages. He'll be frustrated that. I think that's just lack of race practice there for Hudson Smith, maybe lacking the construction. But Bloomfield coming through, 45.04, Igbokwe, and Hudson Smith, 45.55, by definition of those World Championships in Doha. Well, athletes out on the track already for the first event. I'm Chris Dennis, and it's good evening to Tim Hutchins.
Good evening, Chris. Yes, good evening, everybody. Very high caliber race this one-lapper is to get things underway. This is Jonathan Sarkour of Belgium. He won here last year in 45.59, although it wasn't a main Diamond League event, but he's a 45.3 performer this year. Mike Cherry, only 10th ranked in the USA, but quicker than any European this year, can you believe? He's in 8th. Nathan Struther, 3rd in the US Championships. He'll be going to Doha for them. Happy birthday to him today. He's 24 years old. In lane 6, Hakeem Bloomfield, 5th in the Jamaican 200. Set his personal best when 2nd in the NCAA last year. There's Mike Norman. What an exciting athlete he is. The world #1 goes in lane 5. Great lane draw. Biggest shock of the US Championships. He was beaten by Fred Curley. Well, Fred Curley goes out in lane 7. There has been changes. Igbokwe goes in 3. Semi-finalist in the US Championships. Kamari Montgomery, the world #3, goes in 2. The NCAA champion. And Nathan Allen goes out in lane 1. The Jamaican didn't run the Jamaican Championships in late June. So just to correct those lanes for you, Fred Curley is out in 7 now. And he was originally meant to be in lane 4. They're in lane 3, Igbokwe. But this is a new generation of 400-metre runners. The oldest of these men is 24. Curley is 24, Bloomfield 21, Norman 21. Karani James, remember, was only 18 when he won the World Championships back in 2011. Van Niekerk, when he broke the world record in Rio, was only 24. But they're not running. No champions, no medalists from recent global championships over the last 6 or 8 years go in this race. But it is a very high caliber field. And I understand Mike Norman in lane 5 wants to run fast. Curley goes in 7, Norman in 5. They were 1 and 2 in the US Championships. So, already Mike Norman in the headband there, centre of picture, has gone off very fast indeed in that rocking style of his. He's fabulously fast over 200, and he's already closing on the man outside him. Down the back straight, Norman pulling away and beginning to close. Curley going hard though, to left of picture, out in lane 7. Curley leading at the moment, fabulously powerful is Curley. He's a big fella, 6'3", 93 kilograms. They come off the bend, and in between them, it's Bloomfield looking strong. Norman trying to come back and get past the pair of them. Curley is unable to respond, and Norman's going to take it by a metre. 44.28, wow, oh wow. That's the quickest time for some weeks on the global scene. Of course, Mike Norman, the world #1, 43.45. But that one he worked very, very hard for. He committed early, didn't he? 44.26 is the official winning time, and a degree of revenge there over Fred Curley for the shocking, huge shock it was, the defeat he handed Mike Norman at those US Championships, some 6 weeks back in Des Moines, Iowa. But he had to work for this one, didn't he, Mike Norman? Chris, he maybe in lane 5 had the advantage of having Curley in his sights.
Well, Bloomfield as well was really in the mix, wasn't he, there with, 50 to go, but then faded badly, and what a performance by Mike Norman. He's a really exciting, he's quite a thoughtful athlete. He was one of the athletes put up for the press conference yesterday, and he spoke really well, I thought, very eloquently about his prospects and the race itself today. And he said if the conditions were right, he would look to do something really special. I think conditions not particularly ideal this evening, a little on the cool side, but that will be some revenge for him. It'll taste very, very sweet indeed. And Fred Curley, as you can see, they're having to settle for second place.
Well, Mike Norman very happy indeed. That is probably just the send-off he needs as he heads off to training and preparation with the rest of the US squad for the World Championships. They don't announce their team, by the way, the USA, until after the match, the Europe against USA match in Minsk on Monday and Tuesday, so it'll be announced on Wednesday, is the information I've been given. Whereas the vast majority of national teams around the world have been announced, even if 1 or 2 are leaving it very, very late. The Kenyans, for example, have got their trials next week. But yeah, Mike Norman, second in the US Championships. He's still only 21, but fabulously consistent, and that makes normal service resume, so to speak, for the American.